So I'm going to start just like I did with the little skull. And I'm using up, this ink is, this sample, it's kind of old, so I'll use this up. Normally I would not dig into ink like this because it just helps it to dry out sooner. But this is pretty much toast. And this one has a lot more of a rough burr in that area that got really dark. So I want to make sure I'm going to put a little more ink down. I'm still not going to get it real thick, but I want to make sure I cover the whole plate. With a nice even layer. And it's thin enough, I've done it thin enough with this cardboard, and I always hold the cardboard at an angle. I don't want to hold it straight because I want it to kind of slide on the plate. This Plex, you can literally scratch it with the cardboard. It's because it doesn't take much, and you'll start picking up ink in these little scratches that you put into it. So then, get on my paper here. Go back to this. And these work a little bit better once they start getting ink on them. And I'm kind of going in a circular motion. It's working the ink into all the little cracks, and at the same time I'm picking up all the excess ink. Turn it to a clean spot and sort of kind of make it nice and smooth so it's a ball. And I'm just starting to see, that camera's right about forehead height, so that's not. I'm just starting to see a little bit of my image show through. And this is where, when I start seeing that, I switch to the tool, the softer cloth. To kind of make a ball with it. And this I can wipe. Turn it to a clean spot. So now I can see the image pretty clearly. There's still a film over most of it, right? But I can see it fairly clearly. So what I'm going to do, take a sheet of white paper. First, I'm going to flip this over and wipe the back. God bless it. One of these days, I'm going to say a bad word when that thing pokes me in the head. So, everything you're seeing now, since I wiped the back, most everything that I'm seeing, there's still some little peripheral things that ink on the back, but most everything I'm seeing is on the front, is like a film. So this is where I start using the newsprint. And you keep your hand flat, and just go in and wipe. I'll also do it more, or kind of by feel, as much by sight. Because when you first start, the newsprint will really drag on the surface because all that ink is kind of slowing it or sticking to it as you're wiping it. But as you clean it more, it gets easier, it gets slippery. it starts sliding around much easier. But it's important to keep your hand flat and not use your fingertips. And since this one's not going to be on completely white paper, it's going to be on that monoprint color. It's not quite as critical, but if it was on white paper, I would want to make sure that there's no little film anywhere in these areas because they'd really show up. I've also found that the Plex gets almost a ridge in it along the bottom or along where you cut it, and sometimes that will hold, it's almost like a little valley just before the bevel, and that will hold a little bit of ink. You can see it here, like there's a little bit of shadow ink just inside the bevel. I want to get out of there. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is clean the bevels. Well, before I do that, I need to put my paper in the soak. This, I don't put it, since it's kind of time critical, I don't put the paper in when I first ink the plate up, because I'm not sure how long it's going to take. So I found one of the ways to at least initially clean your bevels and not have to worry about wiping up onto the plate is take the plate on the newsprint, line it right up with the bevel, and just wipe it like that and go all the way around. I wasn't super careful when I filed these bevels, so I'm going to have some scratches on them. That are holding ink. And then the last thing I'll do, lay it down. And carefully wipe the bevels with the Q-tip. Especially on edges where it's real white, right? Like this white spot down here. I don't want any extra ink to really show there. On that black side, it's not as big a deal. But it really looks kind of messy if you let ink, like you've got this really clean white area, and you've got like all these black globs along it after you print it. Also helps if your fingers are clean. We're going to go through a lot of newsprint in here and a lot of Q-tips. And when you guys do this, I'll actually have a garbage can next to you so you can you want to throw stuff away as you're doing it.